Marketplace is supported by Putnam Investments, recognizing the value of financial advice since 1937. Putnam Investments, a world of investing. Produced in association with the University of Southern California.
There's all this talk out there about a double-dip recession, but you know who's not double-dipping at all? Companies, corporations, they're doing just great. Actual people, on the other hand, not really so much. Parallel economies on the broadcast today from American Public Media. This is Marketplace.
American Public Media presents Marketplace Minute, supported by Yellow Book 360. Tune in every Friday for Bill Radke's poetic take on the week's news in 60 seconds. Available at marketplace.org.
From the Frank Stanton Studios in Los Angeles, I'm Kai Ryssdal. It's great to have you with us on this Monday. It is the 2nd of August today. And I might have mentioned this before, but for a while during the depths of the financial crisis, we had a cliche wall set up in our offices, phrases that we tried real hard not to use. Right up at the top was from Wall Street to Main Street, thanks to the rampant overuse of that phrase and all the stories about the disconnect between banking and the real economy. 2 years later on, the disconnect is still there. Over the weekend, former Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan took note of how uneven or even one-sided the recovery has been. In fact, Greenspan says there are, quote, fundamentally two separate economies right now. Banks, big companies, and Americans at the top of the income curve are doing just fine. But for the rest, Greenspan said the recovery seems to be on pause right now. Here's our senior business correspondent, Bob Moon.
It's about as plain-spoken as the former Fed boss has ever been.
Our problem, basically, is that we have a very distorted economy.
Alan Greenspan told NBC's Meet the Press it's high-income Americans who are doing most of the spending these days. Big banks are, as he put it, doing much better, and large corporations are in excellent shape.
The rest of the economy, small business, small banks, and a very significant amount of the labor force, which is in tragic unemployment, long-term unemployment, that is pulling the economy apart. The average of those two is what we are looking at.
And all those federal spending programs that were supposed to fix things, University of Maryland economist Peter Morisi says they haven't done much.
Most of the rescue money went to the large New York banks. It recapitalized them, while the smaller banks remain burdened by toxic assets. And they're the folks that make loans to small and medium-sized businesses. They can't get credit, so they can't expand and put people to work.
Morisi says the big banks have been willing to lend, mostly to companies doing business abroad.
With demand growing very rapidly in Asia thanks to their undervalued currencies, they expand there and make big profits.
But wages here at home have been stagnant for decades, as far back as the 1970s. Diane Swank is chief economist at Mesirow Financial. She says that's about the time policymakers lost the focus on retraining American workers in favor of a less costly shortcut, just let everybody borrow more.
We found it more politically expedient to use a very advanced financial system to fill the gap in wages by giving people access to credit, perhaps when they couldn't even service the debt.
Swank says it's all come home to roost in this split recovery.
We've seen enormous political backlash, and there is no comfort for anyone who's wealthy if they've got to deal with a pretty big class warfare at the political level, via taxes or anything else.
She says it's yet another after effect of the meltdown that's likely to linger for a long time. I'm Bob Moon for Marketplace.
President Obama made a speech in Atlanta today. He told a disabled veterans group that the end is in sight in Iraq. The president said all combat troops are going to be out of the country by the end of this month. Beyond the 4,400 American lives lost, we asked Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer what the total financial tab might wind up being.
So far, Congress has appropriated more than $700 billion for the war in Iraq. Some of that money went toward troop salaries and the cost of training Iraqi security forces. Gordon Adams is an analyst at the Stimson Center, a defense think tank. He says there's also the cost of supporting the troops.
All of the expenditure for fuel and transportation and ammunition and running the dining halls and contracting.
There will still be about 50,000 non-combat troops in Iraq through the end of next year.